Okay, good morning, everybody. We're starting Google Apps, a couple minutes late. So far, we have on the board the 8 Google apps that we studied. This week, we're starting in the center with Google+, and then we went around and asked, what are the other Google apps that we study? So we have Calendar, Gmail, Chrome, Maps, YouTube, Drive, and Voice. All of these we consider the Google Cloud. But what is the cloud, Velvet? Okay, so there was a lot there. So what would be a simple way to describe the cloud versus non-cloud? You want to give this a shot? This is week number what, 2? 3? Okay, okay, good. Rachel's going to give it a shot.
It's an easier way for companies and people within the company to communicate with each other to get the end result.
Okay, so it's an easier way for companies to communicate. What makes it easier? What was it before it was easier? Okay, what causes that to happen? How is that possible?
Share.
How is it possible to share? What is the technology? What?
Connect to everyone.
Okay, so what's the technology to be able to collaborate, share, etc.? Huh? Who said internet? Okay, wrong. No, good. That's the right thing. It's the internet. In the old days, which was not long ago, you'd have programs stored on your computer, right? And everything you had was on your computer. If you wanted to take it somewhere else, what did you do? You take your computer with you? Well, that's why they made laptops. But it wouldn't be convenient to take this computer, right? Okay, so what else could you do, Mike?
Floppy disk.
Floppy disk, that was a long, long time ago. What happened after that?
Flash drive.
Okay, flash drives, yeah. And what else could you do? If you didn't want to carry around a flash drive.
Gmail. Or, you can email it to yourself.
Okay, so you could have attachments, and what would you use for large attachments? There were programs called Dropbox, things like that, where you could take a large file and you could send it. And it was like you send it to them, and then the other people could retrieve it from there. So in the old days, you had to store stuff on your computer. Couldn't really collaborate with people in real time because it was on your computer or they had their computer, and so you'd create a document and you would send it to them, right? And they would do what, Mike?
Edit it.
Yeah, they would edit it, work on it, and then what would they have to do?
Send it back.
Send it back. And so Microsoft got very good, had a good feature that two people could be working on the same document. Does anybody know what that was? So you would know what changes the other person made, what they deleted, what they added.
We did it on Drive.
Huh?
We did it on Drive.
No, I'm talking about Microsoft in the old days. Huh? It's called redlining. Okay, so you could edit somebody else's document and you turn on this feature, and if you delete a word, it puts a little red line through it. If you add a word, it puts a blue underline to it, and it's easy for people to see what changes you've made. Lawyers have been doing that for a long, long time. So you send somebody a contract, they want to be able to see what changes you made easily without going word by word. So the problem, the challenge with the old days was collaborating. The internet made it possible for new types of programs, which are called apps, to be created. And the big difference was those apps are not stored on your machine. Where are they stored?
Cloud.
Yeah, somewhere else, and they came up with a name for that, because that's what companies do, right? To persuade you you need to do it, it has to be a cool sounding name. So they decided to call it the cloud. So instead of your data and your programs being stored where? On your computer, instead of that, or your flash drive, instead of that, they're stored somewhere else out there that nobody really knows and you don't care. And so the cloud was a good description, right? Because clouds come and go. We don't really understand them. They just kind of look cool sometimes, mostly. And so the cloud came along. And a lot of companies got into the cloud business, one of which is Google. They wanted to have a series of things to get people to use them. Why would Google care? Why would Google care? Why would they want to get into this business? After all, Skype didn't get into this business. Apple, Microsoft, very few people got into this type of business. Yeah?
The demand that the customers were having or asking.
Okay. So one idea would be it was demand. People were asking for it. It's a good guess. And there was some of that because Apple would go on, Google would go and ask people, what do you want? But the problem is if people don't have an experience of it, they don't know they want it. Does anybody remember in the Jobs movie, where Steve Jobs is talking to Wozniak, and Wozniak says, nobody needs a computer. Anybody remember that scene? What happened, Tim? Where was the scene? Where did it take place? It was in the parking garage, okay, at Hewlett-Packard. Wozniak gets off work. Steve is saying, man, this thing is great. And Wozniak is saying, why? Nobody's going to want this thing. And what did Jobs say?
They don't know they want it.
Yeah, how do people know what they want if they don't even know what it is? So that's a big job of marketing, is telling you what you want and then telling you where to get it. So Google's business is what? What's their basic business? Search. Basic business is search. So they had this bright idea, which is if we can keep people on Google sites, they will do what? What? More searches, right? And if people search on Google, then we can get people to do what? Pay us. Because people pay Google. How does Google make money?
Advertisement.
Through AdWords, through ways to say, okay, you have a business. If you want people are out there doing Google searches, say they want a pizza. They type pizza. All of these pizza places are going to come up, right? But you could pay Google and your thing comes up to the top. And you only pay them if somebody clicks on it.
Like buy domains.
Huh?
They buy domains.
No, this is for search. So Google's out there looking, they have these web crawlers looking for all pizza parlors and everything else, and they categorize them in this huge database. So when somebody types in pizza parlor in Las Vegas, their database goes and lists all the pizza parlors in Las Vegas. And that's free for everyone. The guy who types it in, it's free. The guy who owns the pizza parlor, it's free. But Google said, hey, how about this idea? Instead of having your pizza parlor buried in here somewhere, you can pay us 10 to 50 cents or $1 that if we'll move you to the very top, and if someone clicks on you, then you have to pay us. So it was a great way for people to have AdWords campaigns for as little as $10. And you could set the hours and the times and do all kinds of stuff. And you wouldn't get burned or buried. You could do like $100 worth of advertising a month, and it only costs you money if people click on you in the Google search. So Google's idea was the more people are searching, the more money we make. So instead of just search, how about if we add other things like Gmail? Was one of the first ones they did. And then they got into Maps. Then they bought YouTube. And then they had Drive as a way to store your documents and calendars. So they created this suite of apps, not because they're nice guys. They did it because they're smart, and they know that the more time people spend on Google, the more they will do searches. And the more they do searches, there's more of a reason for people to pay them. So if somebody clicks on them, they get a hit. And Google got very good at this. And there really isn't anybody else that does that as well as Google. So we have the benefit that we get this suite of Google apps. Are the Google apps the best apps?
No.
Well, what's better than YouTube? Aha.
Well, no,
See, everybody fell for that.
You said that before, that they weren't all the best apps,
Oh,
but they were
correct.
easier to use.
Correct. They are not all. Some of them are.
Okay.
Some of them are. This is good. Maps is now, really, Maps is the best. Why is Maps the best?
Those pictures and everything that they have. in the
Okay,
past,
because they
right?
just didn't stop at a map. Because it was Google, they said, hey, let's go get these cars, and we'll put cameras on the top, and we'll drive down every street taking pictures. So this is, so best. Drive, is it the best?
No.
Some people argue it is. It's not clearly the best. Voice is really the best, but it's hard to get people to change. So people don't really care about voice, even though it's great.
But it makes it convenient because it's linked in with all the Google apps.
So overall, Google is by far the best. Is Google Plus better than Facebook?
Facebook is
No.
pretty good.
No,
Okay.
Isn't
It has a different purpose, but most people think that it's like Facebook. And it does a lot of things that Facebook does.
Yeah,
But it's not best. Nobody's going to say Google Plus is to Facebook as YouTube is to whatever their competition is. Chrome, is Chrome the best browser?
Pretty much.
Okay. What makes it best?
fast.
So is Firefox. So is
Yeah,
Safari.
I think it has more variety.
Okay, what makes Chrome best is it works with these apps.
Yeah, yeah.
Now that's really what makes it best is all of these things run very well in it, and then you have extensions, and you have add-ons, and you have other apps that work with these things, right? MindMap is so good because what? What made MindMap so good?
Corresponded with your Drive, your YouTube.
Right, because it worked with Drive, right? That's an easy way to collaborate with people, is through Drive. So the cloud is really a marketing term that has to do with taking programs off of computers and having them stored out there somewhere else where they're accessible. And nobody really cares where they are. They're just out there somewhere. It's like a cloud. Clouds are always moving. You don't know where it is, and you don't really care where it is. And you can have data in a lot of different places. It's not like all of your stuff, Gina, is in one building in Salt Lake City. It could be in databases all over the world. So, and my hunch is, if you move around and travel around, like let's say you were in Sunnyvale, and you had Gmail for a long time, my hunch is your Gmails, all of the Gmails that you had saved and stored, might be in a database in Sunnyvale somewhere, California. But then if you moved to the other side of the country and you started using Gmail, my hunch is they started using a local place to keep your new emails. And they didn't transfer all of your old stuff over to where you moved. That's my hunch. And what made all of this possible, what made the cloud possible? In California, what made the cloud possible? What's the technology that made the cloud possible?
Supercomputers.
No. Good guess. Not the internet. Good guess. Because the supercomputers existed a long time before the cloud, right?
Yeah.
Okay, a long, long time. I remember the first time I got to go to see 1987, I got to go see the supercomputer at UCSD. And at that time, only very few people even had email. Okay, so it's not supercomputers. What did you say? Internet? Okay, well, the internet existed a long time before the cloud, right? What made the difference? This is important. It's a simple question. It's not a trick question.
At Google, we're always experimenting with cool stuff.
Yeah, what made it possible? Rachel, you're usually good at coming up with good guesses.
The knowledge of
No,
Alternative.
not knowledge. Not knowledge. Yeah, Suzanne. No,
Was it the
They had
alternative,
searching.
the other one?
they had searching before the cloud. No, but that's on the right track.
4G?
High-speed internet. High-speed internet is what made the cloud possible. Before that, it was very frustrating if you type something in. If you're trying to use an app, like let's say you're trying to use Docs, and you type something, you have to wait 10 seconds to see it on your screen. Would that be frustrating? Yeah. It's dead. It's stillborn. That idea doesn't work. I saw a TED Talk this weekend that said YouTube became successful because of timing. Other people had this idea, but they were too early or too late. YouTube came along just as high-speed internet, DSL, was becoming available. Before that, it was something called ISDN, and it just was too slow. Could not watch good video. And then the people who came after YouTube, it was kind of too late. So for business, one strategy to have, and you should just write this in your book, we're not going to take a lot of time on it, but just in your important thoughts section, it's a concept called first in wins. First in wins. That's what happens in businesses where they don't have competitors. First in wins. Whoever gets there first, they win. What's the most common example of first in wins? I'll give you a hint. I'll give you a hint. Okay, now do you know? Starbucks. Who said that? Ed, good. Okay, Starbucks. First in wins. Who's the competitor of Starbucks? Okay, so Velvet is right. Ed is right. Seattle's best. Why is Seattle's best around? Because there are some people that hate Starbucks. They just say, I refuse to go to Starbucks. They're the evil empire. So Starbucks said, well, those people are morons. So what we'll do is we'll create a competitor that we own called Seattle's Best. And these people hate Starbucks, but we'll just put it in new colors. It's red and white instead of green. We'll call it Seattle's Best. It's slightly different, but it's the same company. This goes back to the TED Talk we saw of people, the wine tastes different when the label's different. Remember that? In your brain, the wine actually tastes different if the bottle is different. The wine is exactly the same wine. It's just a different label on the outside, and it's a different shaped bottle, but the wine is the same, except in your brain, it's not the same at all. This wine is way better than this wine. This wine with the screw top, not really good wine. This wine with the fancy bottle that has a thing called a punt in the bottom, that's that divot. Really, that's really good wine in your brain. You actually believe that. Your brain believes it's true. So, some businesses, first in wins. First in doesn't always win. You can't impose that on a business where it doesn't work. If it's an existing business, you want to get in the carpet cleaning business, don't try to do first in wins, because there are already people that do that. And you're not going to have that same thing. Okay, so now we're going to talk about Google Plus today. So that is the app we're going to focus on. And this is an app that is made of other apps, right? Sub-apps. I call them sub-apps. So what are some of the sub-apps in Google Plus? Okay, events. Okay, communities. Hangouts. Who said messaging? Okay, so that's really part of Hangouts.
Yes.
Right, circles. Okay, so those are the primary Hangouts, circles, communities, and events are really the primary sub-apps on Google+. What other type of Hangouts are there? Hangout on air. Do we ever do that? When?
No, you do it just about every day.
We're doing it right now.
Right.
Okay, so this is a Hangout on air. What else? Huh? No, what else? What's another part of Hangouts? Okay, yeah. Voice or video. It's just called a Hangout. So Hangouts has a thing called a Hangout, which is just like a telephone call. You can call anybody for free. And does everybody have phone numbers now?
Yes.
Julia?
Yes.
Okay. Robert?
No.
You have a phone number?
No.
Just Robert?
And Julia don't.
Okay. So maybe we can get, okay. So one of the things that Google does, and it started with Google Voice, is you can have your own free telephone number. Now, for the people that have their Google Voice numbers, go back to your Gmail, update your signature to put your phone number in there. And in the future,
How do we do that?
well, we're not going to digress right now. You go into settings, though. But for your future, you should never give anybody your voicemail or your cell number again. Give them your Gmail number. How many Gmail numbers can you have? Okay. Both of you are right, and both are wrong. So with each Gmail account, you get one phone number. If you want to change it, you have to pay. But how many Gmail accounts can you have? As many as you want. You can have as many as you want. So how many phone numbers can you have? You can have as many free phone numbers as you want. And they can all go to your cell phone. So an important thing for your future is never give people your cell phone number again. Give them your Gmail, your Google Voice number. Give them that number. If you own a business, don't give employees, don't put their phone number, their cell phone number on their business cards. You want them to use their cell phone. You don't want to give them a cell phone. You want them to use their cell phone. As a condition of employment, you have to use your cell phone. Do you want to work here? No? Okay, good. Mazel tov. As a condition of your employment, you have to use your cell phone. Do you want to work here? Sure. Okay, great. But you don't put their cell phone number on there. Why?
In case it goes off.
No. Because if they go away, customers are going to be calling who? Desmond, who are they going to call?
Your angry employee, ex-employee.
Yeah, they're gonna, or they might not. Yeah, they're going to call that employee who might not be angry, Might be angry, but they might have just moved on. Maybe they went to work for a competitor. Wouldn't that be bad? You spend all this time developing an employee. On their business card, it has their cell phone number. They get an offer from a competitor. Who now is going to go with them? Yeah. Okay. And that's because in the old days, your choice was you give them a cell phone, or they use their cell phone and all the calls go to them. With Google Voice, you give them a Gmail account that is your account. Sounds like a couple people have the internet on, Dennis. You give them a Gmail number. If they go, who owns the Gmail number? You do, right. You own the Gmail number. So people continue to call that number, and who gets that? Who gets the calls now? The new employee. And you have a record of all of the calls, and so that is a great part of Hangouts, is you can make voice or video calls. And you can do instant messaging. And this gets to be good when you combine it with circles. And then a Hangout on air, what's the difference between a Hangout on air and a video call with Hangout and Hangout? A video Hangout. Well, a Hangout on air, anyone can watch. Okay, so that's a good point. So on a Hangout on air, you have to create it. So I create these things. I put a time on there when it's going to occur, and I invite people. Those people can join the call. Like right now, California has joined the call. Like right now, that computer over there has joined the call. But you could all go on to Google+, find this Hangout, and you could watch it. And how far behind is it? Yeah, it's maybe now it's up to maybe 10 seconds behind. Last year at this time, it was about a minute behind. So now it's getting closer. You can't participate in the call, you can just watch it.
Unless you're invited.
Well, if you're invited to join, you can join. But you can't just go on and say, oh, they're having this call, Larson Training Centers is having a Hangout on air, let's go crash it. You can't do that. Okay? So, but on a Hangout, people can't join because it's I call Monica. We're going to have a Hangout. We don't have cameras, so it's just a phone call. If we have cameras, it now looks more like a Skype call or something else, right? How many people could be included in that call? I think it's about 10 people can join a Hangout. So it's like a conference call. How many people can join a Hangout on air? I don't know, but it's more. But an unlimited number of people can be watching it. That's not the big difference between these two. What's the big difference here with the Hangout on air?
You can have 100 people in one room.
That's true, but that's not the big difference. Okay, this is important. The big difference is when you finish a Hangout on air, it's on YouTube. Okay, so you can create a library. So if you were in the mining business and you decided you wanted to do a Hangout on air every day at the same time, you wanted to go down the same mine shaft or something like that, you can create a library and look back every day over a year at a little video. Now, would that be beneficial at all? Could you see how being able to do a Hangout on air would be beneficial in the mining business? Okay, I don't really know the mining business, so how would it be beneficial to create a library? Library of what?
Like a library of how mine changes over time. I mean, they don't really go down the shafts anymore.
Okay.
So you could just see, like, say, like a pit expansion.
Okay.
You could have like an area. Usually there's cameras where there's where the post command is.
Yeah.
Dispatchers. There's a camera up there that shows the whole pit, and then over time, if you do a video from up there, you can see how much it's.
Okay, good. So those probably before were wired CCTV cameras, right? And maybe now they're wireless. Okay. So with the Hangout on Air, it becomes very inexpensive because you could have people with cell phones. Call them up, they join the call, they're on a cell phone, and if they're talking, their camera's the one that's live. So if you're in a business like Starbucks, how could a Hangout on Air be building a library be a great way to do it? What's the key thing about Starbucks?
Having coffee.
What about having coffee? Well, let's say you are Starbucks and you want to create a library. What kind of library might you want to create?
How to make coffee.
How to make coffee.
How to make a latte.
Okay. So I saw Howard, what's his name? CEO of Starbucks, Howard Schultz. Howard Schultz give the talk. He said one of the most important things about Starbucks is every Starbucks has to be the same. When people walk in a Starbucks anywhere in the world, they need to know they're in Starbucks. It can't look different in different parts of the world or different parts of the country. They don't want it to look like the neighborhood coffee house in this neighborhood. They want it to look like the neighborhood coffee house everywhere, but not different anywhere else. And part of that is if you have a latte, if you like lattes, their standard is you can go into any Starbucks in the world and a latte tastes exactly the same in every store you go to. And they said, how do you train, this is when they had like 18,000 employees. They said, how do you train 18,000 people to make a latte exactly the same way? Doesn't work if you have people training other people. And so having a Hangout on Air is an easy way to create a library. So let's say they decide they're going to come out with a Nutella latte. And everybody needs to know how to do this by tomorrow. Or let's say in 2 days. Everybody needs to know how to do it. And they have 30,000 stores around the world. How can they teach people to make a Nutella latte all the same way? By a video. And a Hangout on Air is the easiest way to get a video out there to everyone because it's easy to shoot. You don't really need special equipment. But once you're done, it is stored on YouTube. And you can make it private. So only people at Starbucks, only Starbucks employees can see it, say as an example. So those are these are the primary sub-apps of Hangouts on Air. And when you go to employment, I can assure you that the employer doesn't know there's a better, cheaper way to do telecommunications than they're doing it right now. There's a better, cheaper way, and that's Hangouts. And they say, well, we have all of this telephone equipment. We already have telephones on every desk. What would you say to them, Desmond?
Go to this.
Well, we already have telephones.
No. Go to this.
Well, we already have telephones on the desks. What do you say?
You already have too much stuff on your desk.
Okay, what?
Do the voice on that instead.
We already have telephones. You're talking about something else.
They're just into the video.
What do you say in response to we already have phones?
They can watch it whenever they want. They can
See,
watch
Julie
it
is not
again.
responding to the guy's statement of we already have phones. She's repeating this is something different. I already know it's different. I'm not talking about that different, Hangouts on Air are different. I'm saying we already have phones. What do you say to the guy who says we already have phones?
You already spent it.
Okay, so this is an important thing when you're in interviews, is you have to address the statements that people make. Because it's like they have this hot potato. We already have phones. They want to throw it to you. If you don't address that, they're still holding the potato. You're talking about all of this other stuff, but they've got this hot potato in their hand. You have to address the issue. We already have phones.
Can't do video calls.
We already have phones. I'm talking about phones. You're talking about Hangouts on air. No, you don't say what's your number. Every desk has a phone on it. No.
Okay.
Okay,
Kip.
Throw them away. Sell them. Get rid of them now while you can, because they're going to be obsolete. Just like horse and buggies. When cars come out, the guy says, well, we have all of these wagons.
Don't to the poor people.
Yeah. Donate them. Give them to St. What's it called? Salvation Army. That's how you have to address that. Throw them away or give them away. They have no value. Don't hold on to that old technology. And then you can go and repeat the benefits of this. But if a guy's thinking, God, we've spent $10,000 on telephones, you have to address the telephone issue. Throw them out, get rid of them, give them away. They're of no value.
So on eBay.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, sell them on eBay, do something, but they're not of any value. Okay. So that is Hangouts, and everybody should have this, a page like this in their book. Circles. What is a circle? Okay, a round shape. Okay, and
It's a contact list.
okay, so okay, good. Okay, so it's a contact list. Why do we care?
Sign up for different.
Okay, so this is like groups on a contact list, right? Now, how is a circle better than a group on a contact list? Well, that's how they're the same, right? A group and a circle are subsets of your, let's say this is your universe of contacts, or your contact list, right? You have all of this stuff on it. You just have all kinds of names on it. That's your universe of contacts. So a group would be like that, right? Would be some of the contacts on your contact list. That's called a group. And a circle is like that in that it is a subset of all of the contacts on your contact list. Right? Everybody with me?
Say that
What's
one.
the difference?
Say that one again.
A circle is also a subset of your contact list. It's not all of your contacts. It's a subset. It's smaller. Okay? So how are groups and circles different? They're both subsets of your contact list, but how are they different?
by the category you choose to put them in.
You could have a group on your contact list called morons, and you could have a circle called morons, which you probably should. Okay, those are people you don't want to contact. Okay. Did anybody see the Google Plus song? The Google Plus song? Huh? Okay, maybe we'll have time to watch that. Okay, so what's the difference between a group and a circle? Okay, well, let's do the obvious ones. Circles are part of Google Plus. Groups are not. A group in Google Plus is called a circle. If you have a group on your contact list, how can you use that group?
Send messages to all of us.
Send what?
Messages?
Send emails. So if you want to use a group, you have to be sending an email. You can't just contact a group. Okay? You can go to your contact list and you say, oh, I have 10 groups. Well, it's kind of like, that's nice. So what? Now what? Okay, so what? You have 10 groups. Now what? Oh, well, if I want to send them an email, I can send it to a group. If you're in Google Plus and you have a circle, what can you do with that circle? Yeah, it's a lot easier. You're not limited to just sending them an email. You can send them a thing that they receive in their email. You can send them a thing that they receive in Google Plus. They can get a notification that you just posted something to it. And what can you send? What can you put in a notification to a circle? What can you do? Okay, photos, videos. What else? Links, other links, right? So that means like documents, polls, text, audio, attach an audio file. Okay? So to a circle, you can send in any of these things. Can you do that with a group? Why? You have to do it through an email. So in an email, can you attach a photo? Yeah. Can you attach a video?
Yes.
A link? A doc? You can attach all of these things in an email too that you send to a group. Circles is just all one thing. So if you're going to do groups, it's the kind of like the older, harder way. First I have to open my email. Now I have to go to the group. Now I have to go attach all of these things. If I go in Google Plus, it's right there on my homepage, right?
Not only that, but it shows the photo of the individual, and makes it easier to identify who's in your circle versus not.
Right. Okay, so it's easier and better. But other than that, think of a circle as a group. A circle is a group in Gmail. A group is a subset in Gmail. No, a circle is a group. A circle is in Google Plus. A group is in Gmail. Or other things. Blogs too. You can have groups in sending blogs, posting things. Okay. Now, what is a community? Wait, hold on. Never mind. Dennis, are there any questions in California?
Not right now. I'm just helping a few of the newer students set up. The majority. Okay. Any questions? No.
No? Oops. Okay. Let me just look for something here. Okay, so let's try, oops. Okay, we'll see if this works. This is something I haven't done before. Oh, no, wrong thing. Push the wrong button. So we'll try it again.
Robin Hood lit Little John running in the forest.
This is not the one. This is an ad. Okay, does anybody recognize this?
Email got an invite to a website, I don't know. Looks like people love it, but half of my friends said that's a no. Why did we need another social network? Doesn't Facebook look alright? A new thing for me to learn. This could take all night. Damn it. What is this Google Plus? I don't need Google Plus. There's another plus one and another plus one. What is this Google Plus? Hey, what's this red thing here? Go away, Google Plus. They want me to put my friends in circles, but circles are for squares. Every day is like Sophie's Choice, trying to choose which sprinkles where. And my parents, with my friends, can't get it without invites. And when I drunkenly post it cute, I can edit it later that night. I kinda like Google Plus. Can't believe I'm on Google Plus. Oh, another hangout and another hangout. I dig my Google Plus. Hey, old high school friends, you can't join my Google Plus. Friends add me without me adding them. That feature's really nice. Randos, uglies, more popular, and all these friends I've never liked. No one knows my circle name, so even good friends get handpicked. Did you make it into my main feed, or are you in my circle of friends? Oh, yeah. I'm in love with Google Plus. I'm judgmental on Google Plus. Here's another douchebag and another loser that didn't make my Google Plus. Hey, now I'm a that should speak. Thank you, Google Plus.
Okay.
Next time a situation calls for food, get the drinks your mom does on a club day cruise. Diabetes be the common to the grave on a song, but I live this life as a girl drink drunk.
Okay, Dennis, any other questions in California?
Any questions? Just saying questions right now.
Okay, we'll pick this up tomorrow.
Okay.
We're going to create some circles tomorrow that everybody needs to have, and then we'll do communities on Wednesday. Okay?
All right.
Okay, thank you. Break time, everyone.